The court reeks slightly of aged wood and tension. Cameras snap like a cacophony of metal insects, catching every flinch, every unspoken tear. Christine Brown enters first, serene on the surface, yet her fingers shake as they grip a slender folder against her chest. Behind her, Janelle steps through the door, her face chiseled from stone, though her eyes give away a tempest she's been keeping at bay for years. They sit down, side by side. Surrounded, Robyn Brown fidgets with her scarf, a nervous gesture. She's shaking in her hands. And then, as the last piece of a long, shattered puzzle, Kody appears. His energy fills the room, proud and confident, but you can glimpse the fatigue hidden deep in the crevices of his eyes. For the first time in years, the four of them occupy the same room together. But they are no longer family, this time, they are adversaries. Christine fixes her gaze before her, her lips moving barely at all. "It's time," she says softly to herself. The judge appears, and the whispers die away immediately. Court is now in session for Brown versus Brown, the clerk says. This isn't simply a matter about property. It's betrayal, control, and years of silent anguish. Christine is suing Kody, not only for her portion of assets, but for emotional damages following what she says was years of manipulation and psychological cruelty. Robyn looks at Kody, attempting to provide wordless encouragement, but he doesn't glance her way. His gaze remains on Christine, anger and incredulity flashing behind his eyes. Christine's attorney, a poised woman by the name of Rebecca Hall, stands and delivers her opening remarks. For more than 2 decades, my client dedicated her life to a family that offered love, faith, and equality. What she gained instead was deceit, financial domination, and abandonment. Kody rolls his eyes in disgust. That is not true. But Christine does not look at him. Not any longer. She has spent too many years attempting to decipher that face. Rebecca goes on, presenting a slideshow of photographs from years past, smiling faces, picnics, weddings, Christmas mornings. The sort of memories that appear perfect, until you know precisely what transpired behind them. Christine's voice shakes when she says her first words. I thought we were creating something sacred. But I saw, the only one Kody was creating a future for, was himself. The courtroom changes. Even Robyn glances down. Then, the defense stands, Kody's attorney, steely and assured. My client denies all claims. The Browns were a consenting plural family, and these claims are driven by resentment, not fact. Christine glances up with a sharp look. Resentment, she repeats softly. After what you did. The tension is charged. The judge pounds his gavel. Order. Kody bends forward. Christine, you left your faith, your family, no, Kody, she cuts in, her voice at last shattering. I left your control. There is a moment of dead silence. Someone's camera shutter breaks the quiet. Robyn dabs a tear discreetly, whispering, this isn't the way it was supposed to be. The first witness is sworn in, Janelle Brown. She pauses as she makes her way to the stand, looking from Christine to Kody. I never wanted to be here, she speaks quietly. But the truth matters. She describes the transformation in the family finances after Robyn became a member of the household. How common funds somehow migrated into accounts Christine and she had no access to. Kody's jaw clenches. That's not how it happened, he grumbles. The judge advises him to keep quiet. Janelle's voice trembles as she goes on. We trusted him. But the minute we questioned him, he said we were being disobedient wives. He said God wanted us to do what he wanted. I believed him. She fixes her gaze on Kody. Until I couldn't anymore. A low whisper ripples through the courtroom. Christine closes her eyes, recalling nights she wept alone, begging for peace in a family that no longer was. Rebecca moves forward. Mrs. Brown, can you tell the court when you knew something was not right? Janelle nods thoughtfully. The day Christine discovered the secret papers. A folder, property deeds. Land we never talked about. That word, folder, makes Kody wince. Rebecca raises an eyebrow. Property deeds? Yes. In Robyn's name. All attention turns to Robyn. Her mouth opens in shock. No, that's not, I didn't. Christine rises to her feet, thumping her folder onto the table. You knew. You both did. The courtroom explodes. Reporters rush to record the bedlam. The judge thumps his gavel. Enough. Sit down, or I'll clear the room. Christine sits, trembling. Kody goes white now, his composure faltering. Robyn starts to weep, whispering, I thought it was only for taxes. That's what he told me. Kody leans in close to her, whispering with cruelty, don't speak. Rebecca addresses the judge. Your Honor, we'd like to present additional evidence, the folder my client found. It has property deals on Mr. Brown's name and his fourth wife's name, which could indicate financial concealment. Kody's lawyer immediately objects, but the judge waves his hand. We'll allow it. Submit it to the bench. The clerk carries the folder across the room. The air feels thick. Christine's eyes follow it, every step echoing like a drumbeat in her chest. Kody shifts in his seat, his hand trembling slightly for the first time. The judge opens the folder, brows furrowed. Then, his expression changes, confusion, then surprise. Sealed, this was sealed, he says. Christine's attorney blinks. Sealed, Your Honor? The judge nods. This document was filed confidentially. It should not have been in public custody. Kody's face bleaches white. I told you to leave that file alone, he whispers to himself. Rebecca stands up. Your Honor, we didn't know it was its status, but it's obviously pertinent, the judge stops her. We'll proceed tomorrow morning. Court adjourned for today. The gavel comes down. The sound rings out in the room like a gunshot. Christine sits numbly, her thoughts racing. What was inside that Kody didn't want everyone to know? Kody rises slowly, his tone icy. You have no idea what you've unleashed. She looks at him for the first time. Oh, I think I do. Robyn conceals her face, her scarf wet with tears. The reporters cry out questions, the flashbulbs go off once more, but Christine strides on past them, head held high. The gray world outside reflects her inner turmoil. Rain starts to fall, warm and cold. She mutters to herself, tomorrow, the truth comes out. The courtroom opens the following morning, and the tension is almost stifling. The atmosphere seems heavy, charged with anticipation, as if the very walls were holding their breath. Everybody in the room, journalists, attorneys, even the judge feels that today, something historic is going to be unveiled. Christine enters first, heels tapping out their rhythm on the newly polished floor, beating out the meter of her resolve like a metronome. Janelle enters in silence, her arms wrapped tight, attempting to keep herself together. Robyn comes last, her eyes puffy from crying last night, her fists grasping at a tiny purse as if it was all that was holding her together. And then Kody appears. He seems more composed than the day before, but his eyes reveal a tempest raging beneath the surface. There's something different about today, like he knows what's impending, and he is already ready for battle. The judge brings the room to order, and the clerk sets down the now infamous folder, the one responsible for yesterday's commotion, gingerly on the table. Everyone inclines forward. Christine slowly exhales, her hands tightening around her own folder. Rebecca rises and starts to speak. Your Honor, we would like to introduce evidence in this envelope. It has to do with financial dealings and property records never made public. The judge nods. Proceed. Kody shifts restlessly. His attorney whispers something in his ear. He shakes his head slightly, but there are no words. Rebecca opens the folder slowly, extracting a stack of neatly laid out papers, receipts, bank statements, and legal documents. These reports contain a secret ledger, she explains, her voice steady but resolute. A ledger of transactions that were transferred from joint family accounts to a property bought in Mrs. Robyn Brown's name. Gasps echo around the courtroom. Robyn's hand shoots to her mouth. Her eyes open wide. I didn't know this, she says, barely above a whisper. Christine's eyes narrow. You didn't know. Or you didn't care to know? Kody sits forward, his jaw clenched. This is absurd, he says under his breath, attempting to push away the proof before anyone has a full understanding of it. Rebecca slowly goes through the documents, allowing the gravity of each one to set in. These investments involve multiple homes bought without all the wives' agreement. Money was siphoned off, and none of the victims was told. The courtroom is hushed, the only noise the soft scratching of pens as journalists feverishly scribble notes. The seriousness of the discovery is tangible, years of loyalty, trust, and shared belief appear to disintegrate beneath the ink and paper. Janelle swallows hard and gets to her feet. I don't know how I didn't see this earlier, she confesses. I figured that we were all in this together, that we were watching out for one another. But it looks like somebody else was playing another game. Kody's eyes light up with rage. That's not fair, he breaks in, his voice rising. I've always been the one holding this family together. Christine slowly turns, her gaze frigid. Keeping us together, through deceit? Robyn buries her face in her hands, shoulders shuddering. I didn't know, I swear. I thought he was doing the money thing like he always said he was going to do. The judge leans forward, his face inscrutable. Mr. Brown, can you tell me why this money was transferred without knowledge or permission of the other wives? Kody's mouth opens, but the words stick in his throat. He squirms, as if trying to find an excuse that isn't there. Christine gets up, her hands shaking slightly, but not her voice. Your Honor, this is not about money. This is about trust, betrayal, a family founded on deceit. And now, after all these years, the truth is finally being revealed. Rebecca nods to Janelle. Describe the effect this has had on your emotional health. Janelle swallows hard, tears welling up. I feel like I've been living in a dream that wasn't real. I gave my life, my faith, to something I thought was holy. And now, I have no idea what any of it meant. The judge nods, listening to every word, every sob. The gravity of the testimony is indisputable. Then, from the rear of the courtroom, a figure emerges, someone nobody anticipated. It's Robyn's cousin, Vanessa. Her face is somber, her hands holding a small pile of papers. Your Honor, she responds, her voice steady but authoritative, I have documentation and exchanges that indicate Mrs. Robyn Brown was well aware of these transactions. She discussed with others how to distribute family funds behind the other wives' backs. A gasp of shock circulates through the courtroom. Robyn stiffens, her face going white. No, that's not true, she barely breathes. Christine's gaze intensifies. Robyn? Is this true? Robyn's head shakes wildly. I was just trying to help Kody do the books. I didn't realize it was illegal. Vanessa pushes the papers down the table. These are communications between you and Kody, talking about the purchases and transfers. You were party to it. Kody leans back, a tiny, smug smile spreading across his face. But it doesn't last. The judge looks up, picking up on the nuance of the moment. Christine's voice is raised now, trembling but full of strength. Do you understand what this implies? That the woman I trusted most, who was to support all of us equally, might have been an accomplice to taking everything that I earned. Robyn drops her eyes, tears streaming down her face. I didn't mean to hurt you. I was stalking him. I didn't know what else to do. The judge interrupts. We will examine these new documents and check their authenticity. But I warn everyone, this trial is a long way from being finished. Kody sits back, exhaling heavily. This is not finished. I will show everyone here that everyone misinterpreted my motives. Christine stands, confronting him completely now. Misunderstood? You deceived us. You manipulated us. And now, the world is witnessing it all come to light. Rebecca addresses the jury, her tone firm. Ladies and gentlemen, what you've witnessed thus far is merely the tip of the iceberg. The ledger exposes a willful attempt to hide property and financial activity from those who trusted Kody Brown the most. This is about accountability and justice. Janelle blots her eyes, incredulous. I don't believe it, all these years, and we never had a clue. We were naive, and we let him exploit our trust and faith. Outside the court building, cameras flash continuously. Reporters lean into one another, attempting to put together what just occurred. Every statement that is made today will be analyzed for weeks. Robyn sits silently, weeping quietly, a dawning realization that even her intentions, as pure as she believed them to be, are now under scrutiny. Kody sits stiffly, his assurance starting to waver. Christine observes him with hawk-like intensity, her face a mask of resolve. The session ends with the judge's gavel banging once more. Court is in recess until tomorrow. All parties are directed to study the documents presented today. Prepare accordingly. Christine stands, casting a final glance at the folder on the table before she leaves. Tomorrow, all changes, she whispers. Kody trails behind him, his face impassive, but the tension in his shoulders speaks louder. Robyn is behind him, crying softly, and Janelle walks alongside her, her own thoughts reeling with betrayal and shock. Outside, the rain begins again, heavier than before. It mirrors the emotions in the hearts of the women who trusted, loved, and now must face the truth. Christine's voice, calm but resolute, cuts through the quiet as she murmurs to herself, "We've been blind for too long." But tomorrow, the ledger speaks. Morning sun streams through the courthouse's tall windows, casting dramatic, elongated shadows on the glossy floor. The atmosphere inside is thick with expectation. All those present are aware that today, the trial will move into unknown territory. What initially began as a fight over money and property will soon turn into a maelstrom of secrets, admissions, and plots, the type that can destroy families irreparably. Christine sits at the plaintiff's table, clutching her folder so tightly that her knuckles are white. Janelle sits alongside her, her face pale but determined. Robyn comes in last, trying to pull herself together, but her shaking hands give away the turmoil within. And then there's Kody, with a strut of confident caution. His face is impassive, though each tiny shift in his eyes conveys that he is ready for anything, or so he thinks. The judge rings the courtroom to order. We will now resume the examination of witnesses and consider the new evidence recently presented. Rebecca stands up first, her steady demeanor asserting control. Your Honor, we would like to call an additional witness today, one who can illuminate communications and agreements heretofore concealed from this court. From the rear of the courtroom, a woman emerges, Vanessa, cousin of Robyn. She has a stern expression, her hands holding a bunch of printed emails and messages. The courtroom falls silent. All eyes are on her. Vanessa clears her throat. I possess messages between Mrs. Robyn Brown and Mr. Kody Brown, pertaining to property acquisitions, money transfers, and financial maneuvers without the other wife's consent. These messages were made private on purpose. Robyn's face goes white. She breathes softly, no, that can't be. Christine leans forward, her eyes narrowing. Robyn? Did you know about this? Robyn's head shakes wildly. I was trying to help with accounts. I didn't know it was against the rules. Kody adjusts in his chair, grinding his teeth. This is absurd. She had nothing to do with anything illegal. It was a miscommunication. Vanessa hands the printed messages to the judge. Your Honor, these messages show intentional concealment and manipulation. Mrs. Brown was knowingly involved in these financial dealings. Janelle stands up slowly, her voice nearly a whisper, shaking with emotion. I trusted all of you. I thought I was a part of this family, that this was our faith, our commitment to one another. But now, I know how much was hidden from me. How much was manipulated behind our backs. Christine is leaning in toward Janelle, tightening her grip. It's not about money, Janelle. It's the whole thing. The love, the trust, the very foundation of our family. Silence hangs thick in the courtroom. Kody's swaggering stance wavers for the first time. He grumbles under his breath, this isn't what I meant. Rebecca moves forward, her voice firm. Your Honor, we request the admission of these messages as evidence. Not only do they support the discrepancies in the finances, but also the willful nature of the cover-up. The judge nods, scanning the typed-out messages with a furrowed brow. We shall thoroughly scrutinize these documents. But I forewarn all parties, the nature of the content is highly sensitive, and the court requires complete openness from now on. Vanessa lets loose another bombshell. There are also audio tapes of discussions between Mr. Brown and Mrs. Robyn Brown. They talk about how to cut the other wives off financially and emotionally. Gasps from around the courtroom. Robyn buries her mouth in her hands, sobbing uncontrollably. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Kody jolts forward abruptly. Those tapes are out of context. Christine stands up, her voice trembling but firm. Context? You took years to conceal things from us. That's not context, Kody. That's control. That's manipulation. That's betrayal. Rebecca points to Janelle. Please tell me how these discoveries affected your emotional and mental health. Janelle gulps, her throat constricted. I can't sleep. I can't trust anyone anymore. The person I thought I could count on, who I thought would protect me, has been behind this secretly. I feel used. And betrayed. Deeply. Christine's eyes shine with tears. I loved my whole life this person who used me like I was a pawn in some game I didn't even realize I was playing. Robyn's shoulders convulse wildly. I didn't mean to. I didn't know what else to do. He told me to take care of it, and I believed him. I thought I was doing the right thing. I never meant to hurt anyone. Kody sits stiffly, his face white. He is vulnerable, almost fragile, for the first time. I was only trying to protect the family, he whispers, though his words sound empty. The judge reclines, the burden of years of secrets and betrayals weighing him down. We will take a short recess. But I warn all of you, this trial is just starting to reveal the extent of the issues at hand. As the courtroom clears briefly, Christine sits, looking at the pile of messages and recordings. Each word, each whisper, each secret is now out in the open. She is stuck on a combination of anger, heartbreak, and resolve, a mixture of emotions that refuses to abate. Janelle moves up behind her quietly. Christine, what comes next? Can we even bounce back from this? Christine shakes her head, her eyes hardening. Bouncing back isn't the goal, Janelle. Accountability is. And today, finally, we are seeing it happen. No one gets out of this unscathed, and that includes Kody. Robyn sits in quiet, her own eyes locked on the horror playing out before her. The burden of complicity, even if unthought, weighs on her chest like a physical weight. Each choice, each hushed word to Kody throughout the years, now constricts around her like a tightening rope. Outside the courthouse, cameras click incessantly. Each discovery, each admission, is flashed on social media and in the news. The world is witnessing the fall of a family once thought to be invincible. Inside, the pressure mounts once more as the trial continues. Vanessa is brought in to testify again. She brings forth more evidence, more messages, more recordings, and even photos that indicate Kody and Robyn talked about socially isolating the other wives and financially as well. Christine stands up once more, her voice steady and unshaken. So, all along, it wasn't just property. It wasn't just money. It was control. Over our lives. Over our hearts. Over our trust. Kody leans forward, begging. You don't get it. Everything I did to protect the family. Christine sears him with a look. Safe? Safe is when you care for and defend one another. Safe is not scheming, cheating, and secretly plotting behind the backs of people who place their trust in you most. The judge bangs his gavel. Order. Everyone will stay seated while we consider this evidence. We will continue shortly. Christine leans back in her seat, her heart racing. She knows the next few hours will determine not only the destiny of the family finances, but the emotional destinies of all concerned. Robyn hides her face in her hands, weeping softly, aware that her efforts to assist, to control, have only exacerbated the mess. Janelle's hand tightens around hers. It's not too late to do the right thing, she breathes. Christine breathes deeply, looking Kody directly in the eye. The right thing? The right thing would have been honesty, respect, and love. But you picked control. And now, it's all coming to light. The session closes with the judge rising, calling for a temporary recess. But the atmosphere in the room is charged. Each of the participants is aware that the next session will uncover even more explosive disclosures, and no one goes away unscathed. The courthouse is heavier than ever this morning. Rain slashes against the tall windows, each drop a sharp, rhythmic drum that sounds through the silent corridors. Inside, tension has coalesced into something almost palpable, a living, breathing thing that holds everyone in its grasp. Christine sits at the plaintiff's table, hands folded, eyes roving the courtroom as if demanding that it show her the next secret. Janelle sits beside her, shoulders knotted, jaw clenched. Robyn is white and shaking, holding a tiny notebook, her hand deep in the material as if the pages might keep her rooted in the world. But Kody is not in sight. His empty space is a vacuum. Whispers circulate in the court, journalists leaning forward, whispering theories. The judge blinks, rapping the gavel. Where is Mr. Brown? The clerk shrugs. Not in the building, Your Honor. Christine narrows her eyes. He can't just vanish. Not now. Not when the truth is finally being revealed. Rebecca stands, her voice unruffled but with an edge of urgency. Your Honor, we ask the court to go ahead with the evidence review in spite of Mr. Brown's disappearance. What has been found will make a big difference in the trial. Vanessa, Robyn's cousin, interrupts him at this point. She holds a manila folder, which is ever so slightly thicker than the first stack. Your Honor, she speaks clearly, her voice firm through the tempest surrounding her, we found a missing file. It has documents and recordings that were erased from Mrs. Robyn Brown's phone. They were concealed, on purpose, and reveal plans to legally alienate the other wives financially and socially. A murmur breaks out in the courtroom. Robyn gasps, clamping her hands over her mouth. Her eyes become wide with panic. No, this can't be true. I had no idea. Christine leans forward, speaking sternly. Robyn, did you know? Robyn shakes uncontrollably. I swear I didn't. I thought Kody was just juggling things. I didn't know the scope. Vanessa gives the folder to the judge, who opens it carefully. His eyebrows furrow as he searches through the contents. Pages of emails, property contracts, and even a couple of voice memos are revealed. The court falls silent, each breath deliberate, each eye fixed on the discovery unraveling before them. Suddenly, the doors burst open. Kody walks in, his face composed, but each step resonates with calculated rebellion. He holds a small USB drive in one hand. The court responds with lightning speed, cameras click madly, flashbulbs popping like firecrackers. I have something that will put an end to this charade, he declares, his tone low but steady. All you believe is only half the truth. Christine's eyes narrow and Janelle instinctively leans forward. Robyn swallows hard, tears welling. What are you talking about, she whispers. Kody gets up, setting down the USB drive gently in front of the judge. This has recordings and papers that will make my intentions clear. You all believe this is about control, but it isn't. Rebecca looks over at the judge, then at Kody. Your Honor, we would like to examine this evidence under close supervision, but we also need to authenticate it. The judge nods. Go on, but everyone keeps silent during the contents inspection. Kody inserts the USB, and the first documents populate the courtroom screen. Everyone leans forward. The recordings start, Kody's voice, recorded chats, recapping his account of things, but also chats no one saw coming, private talks about each wife, their fears, their secrets, and how to game out results in the family. Christine gasps loudly. Janelle's hands come to her face. Robyn's tears flow freely, Her lips trembling, Rebecca stands up, attempting to keep calm. Your Honor, although this tape might demonstrate intent, it also displays the drastic actions taken by Mr. Brown in controlling and manipulating his family members. This is essential evidence in proving a pattern of behavior. The judge's eyes narrow as he listens intently. Kody observes closely, anticipating the reactions. But the more the recordings are heard, the less assured his position seems. Even his usual commanding presence falters. Vanessa jumps in, moving forward again. Your Honor, there are also deleted messages on Mrs. Brown's phone, messages that indicate that she might have been working with Mr. Brown on schemes that harmed the other wives. Robyn cowers in her chair. I didn't know. I didn't mean. Christine stands up brusquely, her voice slicing through the tension like a knife. You didn't mean to? Robyn, look at the evidence. Look at the truth that's been hiding in plain sight. Do you realize what you've done? Robyn cries openly now. I was helping. I thought I was helping the family. I didn't know it would hurt anyone. Kody finally breaks his silence, his voice shaking slightly for the first time. It's complicated. I was trying to protect the family. I never wanted this to happen. Christine's voice rises, a mixture of anger and grief. Protect? By deception? By withholding money? By secretly cutting us off from our children and from our inheritance? That's not protection, that's manipulation. That's betrayal. The judge slams his gavel. Order. Remain seated while we consider this new evidence in detail. The courtroom quiets, though the anticipation is almost impossible to bear. The rain outside keeps pouring down, every drop a repetition of the chaos within. Christine crosses her arms, stare fixed on Kody. Janelle sits rigidly beside her, silently grappling with the enormity of what has been exposed. Robyn is still sobbing, the shock of her implication coming crashing back to her. The judge reads through the USB files slowly. After a period of silence that lasts an eternity, he speaks. Some of these papers are admissible. Others will be verified. But let there be no doubt, evidence shown today fundamentally shifts the landscape of this trial. Christine breathes a sigh, her voice little more than a whisper. At last, the truth is emerging. And Kody, you can't suppress it anymore. Kody reclines, his own confidence visibly shaken. You think you've won, he says under his breath, though his tone betrays him. Rebecca addresses the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, what you have seen is the tip of the iceberg of this family's secrets. There is so much more to reveal, and each one reveals not only financial deceit, but emotional manipulation that has touched each and every one of them. Janelle leans in to whisper to Christine, her voice shaking. I never thought it would come this far, that it all would be so exposed. Christine's eyes blaze. I never wanted it to happen either, Janelle. But it's the only means we get justice. As the court takes a short recess, Christine rises, glancing at the folder and USB one last time. She is aware that the coming hours, the coming revelations, will determine not just the monetary destiny of the family but the emotional and relational consequences that will be felt for years to come. Outside, the rain grows heavier, blanketing the streets in a gray and silver haze. The reporters push and shove, cameras flashing, to catch every twist of the Browns' dissolution. The world is watching. Within, the anxiety persists. Kody is quietly seated, unusually quiet. Robyn continues to weep, Janelle quiet but visibly disturbed. Christine closes her eyes momentarily, taking strength from the tempest raging outside, aware that the next session shall be the most explosive one. The courthouse is strangely silent on the last day of the trial. The storm outside has dissipated, leaving water-slick streets and gray cloud cover as if the world itself were holding its breath. Inside, it is tense enough to choke. All eyes are on the judge, who sits behind his bench with an air of weight that is greater than ever. This is the day which will determine not only money, but emotional fairness, faith, and the destiny of a family torn apart by betrayal and lies. Christine sits at the plaintiff's table, her fingers on the folder that has become the symbol of years of lies and manipulation. She breathes in deeply, calming herself. Next to her, Janelle sits forward, quiet but keenly aware, while Robyn slumps, her face pale and tear-streaked. Kody eventually appears, going slowly, his posture stoic, lips narrowed into a tight line. His arrival demands notice, but today it has a sense of vulnerability that it didn't have in the earlier sessions. The judge coughs. After considering all of the evidence, including financial records, texts, and recordings, the court is now prepared to render its verdict. A charged silence hangs in the courtroom. Even the journalists hesitate, their pens hovering above notepads. Christine's gaze fixes on Kody, anger, pain, and expectation blazing in her eyes. Kody remains still, his hands clasped around each other tightly, but a flash of nervousness appears on his face. Rebecca steps up first, speaking to the court. Your Honor, in this trial we have demonstrated a pattern of intentional dishonesty and manipulation. The ledger and the tapes indicate not only financial mismanagement but a sustained effort at controlling and isolating the other wives. The judge nods, indicating that he understands the arguments. Mr. Brown, you may respond. Kody stands up, his tone measured but unconvinced. I never meant to hurt anyone. I was protecting the family, defending what we created. Christine leans forward, her tone biting. Protect? You define deceit, secret transfers, and manipulation as protection? The judge raises a hand. Order. I understand the allegations and defenses made. But this court has to take into account the cumulative effect of evidence, including financial mismanagement and emotional distress. The air is strained, every second dragging on forever. Janelle tightens her grip on Christine's hand for comfort, Robyn presses her lips together, and Kody fidgets uncomfortably in his seat. Finally, after what seems like a lifetime, the judge speaks once more. It is the finding of this court that the charges presented by Kody Brown are supported by overwhelming evidence. Mr. Brown is directed to pay for financial losses and improper management of property, and a complete inquiry into all transactions will be made. Emotions distress claims are also acknowledged, and relief will be administered accordingly. There is a shared intake of breath. Christine breathes out, vindication and relief mixing in her heart. Janelle's eyes close, a gentle nod. Robyn's face contorts with uncontrollable tears. Kody sits transfixed, the words taking hold. For the first time in his lifetime of power, his word is not sufficient to protect him from the ramifications of his actions. His jaw clenches, but his eyes reveal the dawning recognition that he can't control this result. Christine slowly stands, still pained-looking but softened by the serenity of triumph. This is not revenge, she says softly, her tone unshakable. It's about responsibility. About truth. And today, that has been recognized. Rebecca nods in approval. The court has ruled, but the healing starts today. Legal recourse brings closure, but emotional healing is a path that will go on. Robyn blinks, addressing Christine. I'm sorry, she says in a whisper. I didn't know. I didn't know what the outcome would be. Christine looks at her. I believe you. But it doesn't change what did happen. You must live with the decisions made, like he does. Kody does stand at last, his face impassive. The tension within the room changes as he speaks to the court. I accept the decision. Although I have objections to portions of it, I will obey. The judge nods. Compliance is forthcoming. Court adjourned. As the gavel smacks the bench, the courtroom collectively exhales. The tension, so dense and overwhelming, begins to release. Christine folds up her folder, a badge of victory and closure, if only imperfect. In the street outside the courthouse, the world waits. Cameras click, reporters whisper, and Twitter and Facebook explode with opinion. The Browns have been publicly exposed, not merely financially, but emotionally, in a soap opera that has engaged the interest of millions. Christine emerges outside into the wet light, breathing in the air as though to steal it back. Janelle and Robyn follow behind her, each one lost in their own thoughts, their faces etched with exhaustion and relief. During the ride home, the women sit in reflective silence. Christine's voice finally shatters it. We made it through this, but the question is, what happens next? Janelle looks out the window. We rebuild. But differently. Stronger. We can't go back to blind trust. Robyn nods, still silent, tears drying on her face. And we have to live with the consequences of our decisions, all of us. Christine gazes out towards the horizon, her jaw clenched, eyes burning with resolve. The past is behind us. The truth is here. And we finally have the power to create the future according to our own design. At the courthouse, Kody leaves alone. Flashbulbs pop around him, pictures of a man deprived of power, compelled to confront the consequences of his actions. For the first time, he knows that public opinion is as relentless as the penalties waiting for him legally and emotionally. In her house, Christine brings together her children, holding them close. The family will never be the same again, but in this moment, she feels peaceful. Justice has been done, even if the scars still linger. Janelle slips in quietly beside her, putting a hand on the shoulder of Christine. It's over, she says softly. Christine nods. It's over. But we remember. We learn. And we move forward. Robyn sits nearby, reflecting on the choices that brought them here, the betrayals she didn't intend, and the lessons that will linger for a lifetime. She knows that healing will take time, but the veil of secrecy has been lifted, and with it comes a fragile hope for redemption and understanding. Lastly, Christine addresses the camera, or rather, the viewers, her voice firm and unwavering. Do you believe that Kody deserved redemption, or was justice finally served? Let me know what you think in the comments. Speak your mind, all opinions count, because sometimes the truth does not merely tell a tale, it sparks a dialogue. The camera slowly pulls back, the courthouse receding into the distance as rain sparkles on the streets. A family torn apart by secrets, manipulation, and deception now confronts a new dawn, one where responsibility, truth, and the decisions they make from here on out will shape the remainder of their lives.